Move over Tide Pod. This could be the most fucked up online challenge yet. Very quickly, if you are new here, I like to cover those movies that get a little less talked about and less reviewed, and try and find out either why or find a hidden gem for myself and share with you guys. So if you are new, please do hit subscribe. Let me know you're enjoying this content. That being said, on with the review. We're all going to the World's Fair, the longest title I've had so far. So this movie just straight up lied to me from the get-go. The blurb for it says, reality and fantasy begin to blur when teenager Casey, alone in her attic bedroom, immerses herself in a role-playing horror game online. Now it lies on two fronts, and I'll get into those just a little bit later. But for now, let me walk you through this. We've got Casey, who is a bit of an outcast clearly in this movie. She seems like quite a lonely person, struggles to make friends because there's not a lot of cast in this movie, and she does seem very isolated up in her attic. The opening to this movie is an 8-minute webcam shot, and it's her making a video and going to the World's Fair and taking this challenge. And it's quite clear in just how she's talking and how she's putting herself across that she's not got the confidence to do it either, and maybe she's just searching for something new. So what is the World's Fair Challenge? Basically what it is, you say the title 3 times, which I'm not going to do here because it's way too long. You prick your finger and she goes to town on pricking her finger. It is the one time I had to look away in this movie. And then you watch a video that's got a strobe effect on it and just stare into the screen. And at the end of this, you're at the World's Fair. So she joins and takes part of this because there's a lot of videos online of other people that have went to the World's Fair and taken this challenge. And as a result, they're starting to really see things in reality, and their bodies are changing and they're kind of losing control of who they are. So she sees all these videos and she's waiting on her own symptoms coming out and just seeing what she'll experience herself. It shows you on YouTube a few times in this movie, and it's quite clear that the people involved and the people making videos update regularly, so we get to see how they're coming along, what's new with them. The problem is, she lies in her videos. We see the setup for the video, and in a couple of examples, one in her video alone, she walks outside, drops her jacket behind the camera and talks into the camera about how she doesn't feel the cold. And then when she's done, gets up, takes her jacket and leaves. So it's quite clear that she's faking this, as well as the fact she's rehearsing her lines as well, just before making the video or throughout, and she'll cut them together. Because she really does start to say some really weird things about how she sleepwalks, but it's like paranormal activity and she gets in her own head. A few problems with this movie. Well, there's a lot, but a few I'll say just now. Is her main here, Casey, she has nothing really going for her. When it comes to her acting, I mean, she's like cardboard for most of the movie. Now I get she's a lonely character with very little confidence, but it's so boring to watch her. And that leads into the second point of this movie, is that it feels like it should be a short film this, but they've dragged out literally every conceivable scene they've got to make it a feature-length movie. Like I said, the opening alone was 8 minutes. It didn't need to be. And you'll come out of every scene thinking that it didn't need to be that long to convey what they wanted to convey. But they were just aiming for that target time, it feels like. So with that, the pacing of this movie will leave you bored, and it is a slog to get through, which really is unfortunate. Now as she progresses in making her videos, somebody does reach out to her to talk more about the World's Fair and give a little bit of history on it, the origins of this World Fair, and talk about her symptoms and how she's feeling. And it's through these conversations that we get more of an understanding. We don't learn specific things about her, but just the general tone that she is lonely as a person. She lives with her dad because only for one scene she's on her laptop at 3 in the morning and he bangs because she's making noise. He's not even on camera in the movie, we just hear that he's there. It's a very isolated film, this. But one thing, when the person does reach out, they're thrown it way back to Skype, which is fantastic to see as all hell. Zoom came in and just took over Skype, and I don't know why. It's great to see Skype coming back in here. I was more buzzing that they were using Skype and hearing all the old sounds than I was with anything that happened within this movie. And this is probably quite a subjective film where people can take what they want from it. Now I'm trying to look at this as objectively as possible whilst reading into the subtext. Now what I took from it was that there's a young girl who's struggling with her own identity, just trying to find her way in the world and where she fits in. And the appeal of this online game where there might be other people similar to her is why she's felt the need to lie to get involved within this game. Now there is potential there, and I quite like that thought and what they would do with it. The big reveals that come in this movie are not interesting at all. They're very boring, and also you'll be bored long before they even get to them with these extended shots for no reason at all. You know, and a lot of the shots in here are very static. You know, it's just one camera angle, one constant shot, and we're just watching her either making her videos or watching other people online as well. There's not much that keeps you going in here. Now that leads me into my next section. I have questions. This is that part where I'm going to just talk about spoilers, from the minor all the way up to the major plot story spoilers as well. So you've been warned, but really really you don't need to leave. So this is where the movie lied to me, and I'll just let this out the gate right off the bat. This online game is not real. They reference it as an MMORPG, and even that specifically I'm going to call a lie in just a moment. But this entire thing isn't real. These people online are making videos and kind of pretending that they're being affected and pretending that they're changing, all to just kind of keep this story alive, talk to each other about it, and kind of play the role that they are. So I do accept that it's an online role-playing game to an extent, but that just doesn't cut it. We don't have stats, she's not upgrading her vigor, she's just lying into a camera, and that's the role-playing. And the person that reaches out to her just goes by the online name JLB. Now he seems like a little bit sus, you know what I mean? Like, this guy's watching videos of her online quite often. That kind of sus. I don't want to say it, but you know what I mean. Hell, she says it. She takes ages to type it as well. I'm pretty sure she done what we all do, and we can't remember if there's an A in there or not. There's not, but she took her time. But he says that he's been worrying about her. There's a point in the movie where they're talking on Skype and he just says, let's play out the game for a minute. She clearly has no idea what that means, because to her this is all real. So they talk outside the game, and that's when he reveals that it's fake. It's just people online just playing along for a bit of fun. She gets quite upset by this. This is the tension in the movie, and she goes offline. But he's been quite worried about her for some time. But he waits till now to reach out to her and tell her that it's a lie, just to see how she's getting on. This whole concept that reality and fantasy are blurring, that doesn't happen in the movie. There's one moment where we see some really fucked up shit on a TV screen because she wakes up to it. I'll admit, pretty fucking creepy. However, it's not fake. It's JLB who's fucking played with a video and put it on for her just to creep her out. And that's it. That's the only time these kind of blend. And even then they don't blend because it's not fucking real. Now, like, I do prefer that it's not real as opposed to trying to explain how watching a video will change you. Like, one person had bat wings, for example. So I appreciate that they've not went down that route, because that's where these movies will always crumble away. There's more to be done here with a girl who is struggling and is revealed that whilst she's been just trying to find herself and getting there slowly, clearly dealing with a lot of mental issues, that even that was a lie. There's something big in there, and they just dropped the ball. He also reaches out to her by video. He, at this point in the movie, has already spoken to her on Skype. He has the ability to message her directly or phone her, yet he still just makes videos to get in touch with her. I could accept that when they weren't talking on Skype yet. However, at this point, drop her a message. And that leads me into why MMORPG is not accurate for this movie. Now, I appreciate that when they're on Skype, we see both their screens. Now, for Casey, JLB is her only contact and conversation. That works. She's quite lonely. I can get behind that he might be the only person that's reached out to her, at least on Skype. However, he chose to reach out on Skype, and she's his only contact. If this is as massive as they're portraying, and he says himself, surely he'd be talking to more people. And secondly, while she's looking up videos of this, it's quite clear that they're far and few between in the YouTube searches. Well, YouTube. They use a fake one for this movie. But even still, there's not that many hits that come up. And also, where does this guy get his money from? He's quite clearly been in the same boat as her, as a kind of a loner and an outcast, and he maybe found this game as his own outlet. But he's still really creepy, and also, how did he get all that money? He lives in a really nice house. We see him walking around it at one moment. It looks fucking fantastic. What kind of job is he in that facilitates him playing this fucking game and also having that house? Now, look, that's it for the questions that I had left a bit unanswered, or at least that just annoyed me within this movie. So wrapping this one up. So we've got a main character that's quite boring to just watch. Yeah, she's meant to be that way, but also it's just not that great to watch. It really isn't. The pacing in this movie is so slow. Every scene could cut off at least a quarter of it. We would have the exact same message, the same moments happening. It would be a short movie, and I would have saved a lot of time. I'm fully on board with the message in this movie though, with somebody just trying to find themselves and maybe even lying to fit in, but there's not any big finale to it. There's really not. It's just somebody struggling, and with a very limited cast of maybe, what, 2 people on screen, a couple of other people in videos themselves on YouTube. If you're going to have a film with 2 people, their interactions need to really work, and they don't in this movie. The reality and fantasy do not blend in the movie the way that I was lied to that it would, but I do get that it was going to be a very interesting idea, but it's just unfortunate to say they dropped the ball on this one pretty hard. And for all the reasons outlined there, unfortunately where I'd be putting this is if you've got the time to watch this movie, go and do anything else with your time. Put it to better use. So look, that was some of my thoughts on We're All Going to the World's Fair. Have you seen it? If you have, let me know down below, but I'll be honest, I don't imagine you have. And if you haven't yet, please do hit subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and that'd be amazing. And thank you so much for watching.